Serial killers who murdered children. Number 5. The Moores murder. The Moores murders were carried out by Ian Brady and Myra Hindley between July 1963 and October 1965. The victims were five children. 4 bodies were recovered. One is still missing till this day. Investigations are still ongoing to find the missing boy. They were both captured in 1965 and sentenced to life without parole to rot in jail. Myra Hindley died of respiratory failure in 2002 at the age of 60. She died in jail. Brady was diagnosed as a psychopath in 1985 and confined in the high-security Ashworth Hospital. He made it clear that he never wished to be released and repeatedly asked to be allowed to die. He died in 2017 at Ashworth, aged 79. Number 4. The real-life boogeyman, Albert Fish. Hamilton Howard Albert Fish was an American serial killer and a cannibal who committed at least 3 child murders from July 1924 to June 1928. He was also known as the boogeyman who will lure children to his home, poison and murder them, and eat his victims, Remains of a young girl was found at the home of Albert Fish. He was captured and sent to jail waiting for his sentence. He confessed later to the police that he has killed a child in every state. They found him to be sane and guilty, and the judge sentenced Albert Fish to death by electrocution. Albert Fish arrived at prison in March 1935 and was executed on January 16, 1936. In the electric chair, he entered the chamber at 11:06 p.m. and was pronounced dead 3 minutes later. Albert Fish's last words were,
"I like children. They are tasty."
Number 3. Andrei Chikatilo, the Rostov Ripper. Andrei Chikatilo, also known as the Rostov Ripper, shocked the world when he was arrested and admitted to killing a total of 52 women and children from 1978 to 1990. During his childhood, he was told constantly by his mother that he had an older brother who had been kidnapped and eaten by neighbors. The story, which cannot be verified, apparently motivated Chikatilo to cannibalize some of his victims. Andrei Chikatilo is one of the most violent serial killers ever to appear on Earth. A man with a particular childhood and history behind him that over the years became a real monster, committing execrable acts. On October 15, 1992, Andrei Chikatilo is found guilty of 52 murders and consequently sentenced to death, execution by shooting. On February 14, 1994, the execution takes place in the Rostov prison. Chikatilo is killed by a soldier with a gunshot to the back of the head. Andrei Chikatilo's last words were, "Don't blow my brains out." Number 2. Dagmar Overby was a Danish serial killer. She murdered 25 children, including one of her own, during a 7-year period from 1913 to 1920. Dagmar Overby was arrested, after which she admitted to murdering 16 children. Police had a search warrant for Dagmar Overby's apartment. What they found were human remains in her masonry heater. Police made a gruesome discovery that they were skulls of an infant. She confessed that she strangled them, drowned them, or burned them to death in her masonry heater. In 1921, she was found guilty and given the death penalty, making her the first woman sentenced to death since 1861. However, the reigning monarch, Christian X, was against the death penalty for women, saying that in enlightened Denmark, we don't put our women to death. Her sentence was commuted to life in prison. She died in prison on May 6, 1929, at age 42. Number 1. Luis Garavito. La Bestia. The Beast. Luis Alfredo Garavito Cubillos is considered to be the worst serial killer. Between 1992 and 1998, he killed more than 200 children between the ages 8 to 16-year-old boys. Most of the victims' remains were found on a hillside near Luis Garavito's home. Garavito would approach his victims dressed as a vendor, or a priest, or another type of authority figure. He would seek his victims out in the daylight, always wearing a different disguise, luring the child with money, food, or jobs. Garavito is currently serving his life sentence in a maximum security prison in Valledupar in the department of El Cesar in Colombia. Thank you for watching.
Please hit the subscribe button for Makaman's next top 5.